Good evening. It's Friday evening, and as you're all winding down for your nights out, one person in particular, it's Friday night and it's Ask Sid tonight. And tonight, well, it's going to be an interesting one. I did pick this one on purpose, knowing what was going to happen yesterday, but the question was, do Spurs have a good enough squad of players that can play in the Premiership and the UEFA Conference League? And the question was answered yesterday, but tonight I've got @Sam for Spurs Live for Life with me, joining me, discussing this. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm better than I was yesterday. Yeah, we did as you noted, we did that reaction show after that diabolical performance from our team. But looking back, there was some excuses. It changed 11 players. Yeah, but this is going to be about those 11 players, I guess, if we got a big enough squad. But yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I don't think everyone was all right yesterday. I think everyone was just peed off. I think everybody just wanted to get this out of the way, especially after seeing the team that we're playing on Sunday take it so serious. And I mean, only club so far in Europe not to concede a goal in Europe, which is English clubs.
Is that West Ham?
West Ham, yeah.
Oh,
they've not conceded a goal yet in Europe, which for somebody who's doing it for the first time, you know what, you've got to give them big ups because they're actually taking it seriously and they want to win it. Unlike us, I think, I was listening to the radio today and they were saying that Spurs players are just turning up. Nuno just wants them to turn up on Thursdays just for practice. Like he said, they're not even interested in playing. And you know what, I sort of agree with him.
Yeah, 100%. Having seen some of the performances yesterday, there was nobody that stood out. Not one player that was like head and shoulders above anybody else. There was a few that was okay. There was some that were really bad, and there was some that were just playing to their level because that's their level. But yeah, there was nothing stand out at all. Nothing.
You know what? As well, I think it's nothing new because we all know what we need when we needed it. We needed it a couple of years ago in the Poch. And I know it's one of them, but what would have happened if Poch got the players that he wanted, maybe even 2 or 3 players out of whatever he wanted? I think we would have had a different team, different mentality, but it's all ifs and buts. We've got to deal with what we've got. Unfortunately, it's not good enough. And we're going to get this week in, week out. We're going to get it again next Thursday because does he go with what we've got yesterday or does he go with a new team? So going back to the question.
If I was him, just quickly on that. If I was Nuno for next week Thursday, I would play exactly the same team at home and let those guys play in front of our fans and see if they play like that again and to see what happens to them. Because there was players on that pitch yesterday. They were internationals. There's some internationals in the playing. You know, we had the likes of Harry Winks, who a couple of years ago, 3 whatever years ago, was lauded up as being one of these players that could be the next big thing for us. Dele Alli again, 3, 4, 5 years ago, massive player for us. We've got Ben Davies in the back as well. We weren't like we were short of players. It's the attitude of the players. So I would let them play next week and see exactly what they do then.
Absolutely. Just like to welcome everyone who's joined us tonight on Friday night's Ask Sid. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I was expecting a hell of a lot of people tonight after yesterday's performance, and the topic was just, is the squad good enough? We all know anyway. But going back to that, Sam, if we put up yesterday's team, okay, and this is the team that he fielded yesterday. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
There we go. Right. Now, I had this discussion with a few people as well on the group. I think for the goal, Galini should have saved it. I've not been convinced by him so far. As a backup keeper, I think he's okay. But what we've seen of him, not impressed.
You see, from that yesterday, that he didn't have much to do. To be honest with you, he didn't have a load to do. It weren't like he's making saves. But again, when you want your keeper to make the save or the one save he needed to, it was the one that he didn't. And you know what I mean? So again, wasn't really a mistake. It was just not well. I expect him to save that. I would have expected him to save that, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, because in the commentary, I think the commentator said, "Oh, he got a deflection and he didn't get it." But then when you watch the replays, there was no deflection. Okay, somebody was in his way, but he got a hand to that ball. He just didn't have a strong enough hand. Yeah,
it kind of looked like it went under him as well. You know what I mean? It kind of looked a little bit under, and that's what I'm saying. When you want your keeper to pull out something, he's not had much to do. Concentration levels need to be high at all times for goalkeepers, and maybe it was a lack of concentration. Maybe it was just, I don't know, but I think he could have saved it.
100%, 100%. Back four. We had this discussion yesterday. I'm not even going to entertain a topic on it. I'm not even going to talk quickly, briefly. I don't want to get into it because we ain't got much time and we're going to get upset and we're going to swear and everything else. So I'm just going to say, in my opinion, that two definitely need to go, and the other two, the jury's out. That's all I'm going to say. What do you reckon?
Ben Davies can't do much better than he's done. I think the level that he played at, or the team we played yesterday, is probably his level now. So there's not much he can do. Tanganga, I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway. I still think he's probably more defensive than he is attacking. And in terms of a fullback, like I said yesterday, those two fullbacks, that I didn't see Tanganga in the opposition box once. I saw Ben Davies probably twice, but that was after 80 minutes and we were chasing the game. Sanchez, I think the less said about him. For me, he can't play with Rodon. Both of those two, they seem to be lacking positional sense, and to play them both together, it was just they're all over the place. I think Rodon has got more chance, in my opinion, than Sanchez, although Sanchez has probably got the more physical attributes in terms of the pace and the strength. But Rodon, I think, if coached well, maybe could be a good backup. But Sanchez, I think we've seen enough of him now. I don't think we're going to get any more out of him.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Lloyd is saying here our squad isn't strong enough. We do need another couple of centre-backs and a creative midfielder and move a few of the wage bill. We've been saying that for how long? And it's not happening. It may happen in January. It may happen further on, but 100%, I totally agree with you there, Lloyd. It's just a matter of, are we going to get the players that we need? And the answer to that is no. Jack,
no, we're not.
Saying, exactly. Jack is saying here, despite the defeat, I was kind of glad Højbjerg, Kane and Sonny weren't there to clean these players' mess. No more babysitting from Sonny on crew. Do you know what? I totally agree, but it is what it is. It's what we've got. And if we needed at least maybe one of them to come and just play, I know they're not babysitting them, but we do need, because this team here yesterday, I mean, we've got Lascelles, so people, everyone's banging on about him. We had Bergwijn, all right, he's just come back from injury. Dele Alli was once upon a time blasting the Prem. Gill's just a young one coming in. Scarlett, I think I've got my views on Scarlett, and I think he's just 17-year-old trying to. He's got a big reputation on him, and with what he had yesterday behind him, I don't think Mbappe or Haaland would have scored because there was no service whatsoever.
Yeah. We could have had a front three of Messi, Ronaldo, and Mbappe, and I don't think we would have created anything for them. We were awful, creativity-wise. But going back to that point that you just made about, and it was a good comment that was made by the viewer there. We're glad that we didn't have Sonny, Højbjerg, Kane to come on. When we played that NS Mura team and they did come on, they showed what it was about. They went and took the game, and then we scored how many goals? It was 4 goals or 3 goals, whatever it was.
100%.
And this is what I'm saying. If those players were on the bench yesterday and come on, I no doubt we would have won that game easily had they come on with half an hour to go. I don't doubt that. So the players that played yesterday, those ones on the screen now, they have to feel some sort of degree of shame, because although I know that most of them don't want to be playing UECL, it's an opportunity. And if the players that didn't play yesterday, they're the ones who should be thinking, I don't want to be going and playing against Vitesse in the UECL. But when they came on against NS Mura, they went and took the game and they won it for us. As I said, I hope Nuno doesn't succumb to this pressure and plays the same team next week, Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it is. Sorry.
Yeah. Scott is saying here, Nuno failed in his tactics and formation based on the players he chose. They were set up to struggle from the start, and it showed. I sort of disagree, because them players there are well and truly capable of playing and winning a game. I mean, come on. Ben Davies is a Wales international. He's been in the Prem for how many years? Rodon, okay, he's come from the Championship. Fair enough. Sanchez has been
still an international. Rodon still plays for Wales.
Absolutely. Sanchez international, played in the Prem for how long? Tanganga's young, okay, but there's promise. The middle three there, right? Okay, Winks is I think he just turns up just to wear a shirt, and he's one of them little boys that gets given a top, and he just turns up. Yes, please, can I play? Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't even do that. If you're that enthusiastic, you'd be running around, you'd be throwing tackles in, so he's just a kid that's not even bothered about playing for us anymore.
Exactly.
That days are gone for him.
Yeah, and then you got Delhi. Obviously, everyone's got. He's the one now who's got the target on him, and he's not performing. Lo Celso, for some reason, is doing it with Messi and everybody else at Argentina, but at Spurs, it's not happening. Bergwijn, Gill, and Scarlett. Okay, Scarlett's young, but potential's there. But that team yesterday, for me, was good enough to go and win the game. But it's a mixture of all the players and the management, just the confidence and the need to not play. And if they don't want to play, then you know what? Just bring on the under 23s, put them out, and let them play. Because that team, I hate to disagree, but I am gonna. Is good enough to go out and win a game. That's a decent team.
100%. And none of those players, if you look at the position, because they did play a 4-2-3-1. Sometimes it's a bit lopsided, and there was like a 4-1-2-3. Sometimes I saw Winks or Lo Celso, but that's part of the game. But in essence, Dele Alli was playing just behind the striker. He wasn't playing the left side or right side, although he'd pop up there. The fact is, these players are playing in their positions against weakened opposition. I liken that team to probably a League One team. Yeah, you could probably say a lower half Championship team if you really pushed it. But I don't even think they're that. I think they're a League One team, and we made them look. We made them look like they were Barcelona, and I'm not even talking about the Barcelona of now, because they probably beat them. But you know what I mean? They looked like they could score almost. You know, they were threatening. They had. I know they didn't have more possession than us, but it looked like they had more possession than us. And the shots they had yesterday as well. I think they had something like 15 shots to our 6 and 4 on target to our 1. Yeah, those players. Crazy. Yeah, there's no excuses.
Absolutely not. And as Cuba 99 saying, good evening, Cuba. That midfield was like the Bermuda Triangle. Nothing came out of it all game. I think you're right. Completely nothing at all. But it is what it is. Now, let's compare this team to the team that played against Newcastle, and I'm assuming it's going to be the team, because all of these were left behind, and I'm assuming this is going to be the team that's going to be West Ham game. Just before we move on to that, Terry Wright is saying here, our second team is simply not good enough. Our second team would have a difficult time competing in the Championship.
You know what? See, before you answer that, I don't think the team's not good enough. I don't think individual players are not good enough. They're good enough players. It's their attitude towards playing. There are some that are a bit average. I know we've talked about, if we're looking at the old team, Davies and players like that. But most of them players have played in the first team on a number of occasions for us this season. So there's no excuse, really. It's maybe they're all put together and they didn't have enough time to gel. But even so, we weren't playing Liverpool. We weren't playing Man United. We weren't playing like do you know what I'm saying, a European giant. We were playing Vitesse, a biscuit.
Yeah. No, totally agree with you. Like you said, half of them players, well, all of them have had Premiership experience. So it's like your Bournemouths and your Norwiches and all them like that go play in the Prem, then go back into the Championship, turn around in the Championship, then come back into the Prem.
Yeah.
So they got enough quality in there. Scott here is saying it's not just about the player quality, stroke ability. Delhi is not a number 10 and provides no link between back and front. That's what I've always said. Lo Celso is your creative player in a pivot, and Scarlett cannot play a hold-up position. Yes, that's true. But then these players are good enough, experienced enough to play in them positions for a 1 game, maybe 2 games. I know you don't, but you've got to move around. And we're not seeing, the problem we've got is we've given, even I've been saying all along about Delhi, playing number 10. But at a point, you have to play where the manager wants to play you, and you need to adapt to that position. If you're not willing to adapt, then you're not going to get into the team. Simple as.
Going back to that comment from Scott there when he was saying that those players, maybe some of them are out of position. What was he saying? It's not about the player quality ability. Delhi's not a number 10. Right, okay. If they were playing in a Premiership against Aston Villa, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, I would totally agree. But if you're playing lower league opposition, and I've coached at various levels, you can put players out of position if you're facing an opposition that's not on the same level. Delhi was not playing completely out of position. He was playing just behind the striker. Now, he's not a link man, I know. But we had enough players on there with ability to create. We still had Gill, we still had Bergwijn, we still had Lo Celso, we still had Winks. So I can't have this, you know, they were playing out of positions. Like, no, they weren't good enough yesterday because their attitudes weren't good enough. And Vitesse showed them when you have a decent attitude, that's what happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good evening to Grandpa Stevens, our local resident. He's saying here, too many players in that lineup that either don't want to be here or are in the comfort zone. Happy just to stick their head out every now and then. I think the biggest problem is the ECL itself, though. But the problem is you are wearing the shirt of Tottenham, right? You are getting paid professionally on big bucks to go and play for a football team. Maybe you don't support them, maybe as a child, but it's a contract. You're playing for that team. You need to come out and play. Simple as. If I did that in my job or anybody else did that in that job, they weren't performing, they'd be gone. Yeah. Some of these players earn in a week what a lot of people earn in a year. So, yeah, okay, stick your head out of the water every now and then. I think it's beyond that. I think the likes of Ali and Winks and them lot are, I think, are peed off now. And they're just saying, do you know what? I'm not bothered. I'm just now going to, exactly what Grandpa Stevens is saying, I'm just going to turn up. I'm going to pick up my wages. And if I play, I play. Exactly what you said, Sam. Let's put that team out on Thursday and let's see what happens at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And let's see what reaction the fans will give them. And then whether they're going to have a change of heart. Because I guarantee you now, that team won't be at that level that they played yesterday. They'll up it at least 5 to 10 notches.
They have to. If you're when you go more than I have at the moment. So when you go to the ground, you can feel the atmosphere. When I've ever been, it's always when we're not playing well, you can feel the atmosphere. The crowd, you know, is that anxiousness. And if them players were to play like that at White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever you want to call it, we just wouldn't have it. You know, they would get grief. They would get booed off at halftime. There would be that people saying, what is going on? And it puts pressure on them. They should turn up. And as I said, I hope Nuno does not play this team that's on the screen now against Vitesse next week, because we all know that this team at home would batter that. I don't care who says that this team on the screen now is more than capable of beating most teams in the league and potentially even in Europe, you know, depending on the day. Now, there's obviously better teams in Europe than us, but on the day, if you look at that 11, it's not a bad 11 at all. Not bad, especially our front players.
Yeah. I mean, here, I think he's saying the first team benefits from skipping Højbjerg, shielding the defence. I don't think Romero and Emerson have been as good as everyone says either. Done okay, but not great. Now, Kuva, I've been to the games at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I've seen Romero 90 minutes and what he does, not just when he's got the ball, it's his all-round performance is brilliant. I did say about Emerson at the beginning that I'm not convinced by him. I'm still not 100% convinced by him, but you have to give the kid a chance. You've got to let him play at least 10, 15 games, let him get his feet into the ground, get settled, get that partnership going with a consistent back four and maybe more in front of him. And I think there's potential there. But I agree, I'm not 100% convinced. Now, question I want to ask you, Sam, right? This team here that we've got on now. Yeah. Do you think that is our best Premiership 11? And is there anybody else that maybe might be able to get in? But at this precise time, is that the best we've got? Okay,
so I'm going to go from the top. Lloris, nailed on. Galini, good backup, but definitely not better than Lloris at this moment in time. Romero, nailed on. Reguilon, again, I think he's definitely, comparing to Ben Davies, is chalk and cheese, as they would say. Emerson, again, I agree with the start of it. The first couple of games, he looked a bit shaky, but you've got to remember, this guy's just come from abroad. He doesn't speak the language. He's literally in a brand new team, you know, expected to be the first team starter because Doherty is nowhere to be seen now, and Yaphet Tanganga is not attacking enough. I think Emerson's going to be a good player for us, and I've seen enough quality about him going forward. Defensively, I'm not quite so sure, but certainly going forwards, if we're going to play an attacking style of play, I think he's definitely going to be better than Tanganga. Højbjerg and Skip, they are two of the, in my opinion, two of the best holding players in the league, if I'm looking at it. And they're not just holding, they've got more about them. Højbjerg certainly's got more ability to get forward. Ndombele, the talent in that player is immense. And if he can get better, just imagine what type of player that we could have on our hands here. He needs to have that attitude. Son, Kane, definitely. The only player there in that front four, for me, Mora. You know, Mora potentially has competition from someone like Bergwijn or Gill. Apart from that, Lo Celso, you're right. I looked at Lo Celso yesterday, and I was being a champion. I've been a big fan of Lo Celso, but he's not better than Ndombele in that position, and he's definitely not better than Højbjerg or Skip in the holding role. So there's not many opportunities for anybody else to come in, possibly apart from Emerson, Dyer, and Mora. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to see anybody else coming in that team.
This is the problem, isn't it? Where this team now, we're potentially saying is our best 11, and maybe I was going to say exactly what you said. I think only player that I would probably swap in and out would be Mora for Bergwijn, maybe Gill. But apart from that, them 10, I reckon, are solid. But the problem we've got, and it proved it last night, that the second team, and the question I asked at the beginning is, have we got a strong enough squad to field a Premiership side and a Conference side? And if what we had yesterday, if we have injuries, say for example Son or even Ndombele, unfortunately, me personally, I'm thinking shit. If we've got them lot from yesterday going to come in to deputise, then it's going to sort of weaken us.
It's got to be attitude, though, Sid. Those players yesterday, the attitude was it was stinky. It was horrible. I still think them players that were on the pitch, if you look at the lineup on paper, you would say against Vitesse, you match them up, player for player, much better. This is even a level above that. Obviously, the ones that are on the screen now. But we have got a squad good enough to play Premiership and UECL. We haven't got a squad strong enough to play Premiership and Europa, and we definitely haven't got a squad strong enough to play PL and Champions League. So if we're going to start going up notches in Europe, we're going to have to get some improvements in there, 100%.
Yeah, I think Mike's just put something on here. Spurs in talks apparently with Rudiger. Do you know what? There's a lot of people here saying, I think Jack says, I love Rudiger. He gets stuck in, never backs down from anyone. From that day against Sonny, when faked his injury and rolled down like he'd been shot 400 times, Sonny got sent off. I've got no time for that guy. I just, every time he plays, I've got nothing but hate for him. And unfortunately, if he came to Spurs, I just would not be, I personally would not be able to.
I just don't know. I don't know if I could. Again, we've had a few Chelsea players come to Spurs. You know, we've had that Gallas who came. You know, Gallas had gone to Arsenal, went to Chelsea, and then came to us, and he was all right for us, to be fair. But this thing with Rudiger, you can see. I just don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't warm to him unless he really showed me that he really meant. And the only reason he'd come to Spurs would be for money, because we're not in the Champions League. We're not likely to be challenging for the league anytime soon. So what else would he come to Spurs for other than a paycheck?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got Jack saying Emerson was rated as one of the biggest talents in La Liga last season. I'm glad we have him. Same with Romero, 100%. Porto Mac is saying here, personally, I still believe that Son is the engine, flair, and the glue of our team. Our first team is obsolete without him as a pro, as proven against Palace. 100%. 100%. He needs to be on fire. And his energy, his commitment, his passion, it's just second to none. This guy, I think, if you cut him in half, he's going to be pouring blue and white off Tottenham. And
if the players yesterday had half of that attitude that Son shows on a regular basis, the only time I've seen, there was one game, I can't remember which game it was, that Son looked like he was so down. He was just like really just gutted. But every time the guy, even if he doesn't play well, he's trying, he's making an effort. And he doesn't have many bad games as Son. And that comment there, he's the glue that holds it all together at the moment.
Yeah.
But now that I'm seeing the body language of Harry Kane slightly changing as well, I think if those two can keep playing as they are, as we know from last season, we have got two of the best front players in Europe, and that's going alongside what Liverpool have. You know, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota. You know, those players there are in that sort of category for me.
Yeah. I think Jack saying here, look, just don't like the Rudiger shithouser identity. It's not that. You know what? He's a good defender. He's the times I've seen him at Chelsea, he's quite solid in that. But from that day when he got Son sent off, I just got no love for him. I think he'd done all the dirty tricks to get Son sent off in that game, and you know what? You can't do that to Son. I'm sorry, can't do that to him.
Sid, let me ask you a question. Is Rudiger a type of defender? I know he could be because I'm looking at partnerships when you come to the defensive line. So we've got Romero, who's very much that aggressor, that player that Rudiger is like pretty much for Chelsea. We need a more cultured centre back. You look at Liverpool, and I always compare Liverpool because they're at the moment the best team. So they've got Matip and they've got Van Dijk. So Van Dijk's the cool, calm, collected one. Matip, again, he's quite controlled, but he's more of the aggressor, gets into the challenges and does that sort of stuff. You need to have that complement and balance as your centre back period. To have Rudiger and Romero, I think would be too aggressive in my opinion. So you're going to have to balance out where would he then fit in? Who could he play with? I think he'd be a good addition to have, but is he really that massive an upgrade that we need? No. There's
better players out there in January window. If we're actually wanting to go and get a better, I totally agree with you, Sam. Him and Romero too alike. Yes, Rudiger going forward and defending wise, he's very aggressive. He's good on the ball and that. But then when you got him and Romero,
oh god,
then who becomes the aggressor and who becomes the nice guy? Romero would have to then become the nice guy because Rudiger would do the eating and swallowing of people. So I sort of agree with you there. Them two as a partnership, unless you try it, we don't know if it's going to work or not. But I'm in your boat. I don't think them two together can play together because it's going to be like, no, you be Mr. Good Cop. No, you be. No, I want to be. I'll be bad cop.
Yeah.
But unless you play three at the back and you put...
That's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Yeah. Then I think that would work. So I know you got to shoot off. So I'm going to keep it sweet and simple. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We've got quite a lot of viewers watching tonight. Just going to give a big shout out to a few people: Jack Kanicki, Cuba99, Lord Hughes, Scott Helper Football, Grandpa Stevens, Mike Hustler is on. So
the Hustler.
Thank you, Hustler. The Hustler. Hustler's saying that Sanchez had a good game yesterday, you know.
Who? What was that?
Sanchez. He said Sanchez had a good game.
Who did? Hustler.
Sanchez, according Hustler said Sanchez.
Oh, I'm going to have words with Hustler after this. I'm going to have words with him after this. No, not having it. Someone else said to me that Winks had, I think it was Marlon yesterday. Yeah, Winks didn't play too bad. Come on, he was awful. No, I'm not having that. Yeah. No, not having it. Yeah.
Terry writes, quick one. Rudiger wouldn't be my first choice, but I'd take him over Dyer and Sanchez. I personally think it's time to move Tanganga to centre back. Again, that's another question for another day. But yeah, so it is almost time. So I'm just gonna put it out there. So the question was, is our squad good enough for the PL and the ECL? I personally think it is good enough. But maybe we need one or two from the first team that play in the Prem just to be there as a safeguard. And if we maybe had one or two from the squad, I think as a safeguard, don't start them, but just keep them there. But as everyone else is saying, they're good enough. It's the confidence, and I think they'll get that. And also, we need to get more players in Jan. Your final thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they are good enough to play in the Premier League and the UECL, but that's about it. Anything above that in Europe, no, we haven't got enough.
No, that's it. And I think going forward, if we're going to go for that top six finish, then Paratici, Nuno, they all know January and in the summer, we've got to get rid of half of that team that played yesterday and getting some decent quality players. And on that note, thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for giving me a bit of your time tonight, Sam.
Thank you.
It was half an hour. I didn't want to go into it because we can go and talk about this for hours on ends. and maybe up until kickoff on Sunday. But as always, thank you everyone for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Sam, tomorrow, have we got anything planned for tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow, preview show, just after 12 o'clock, West Ham. That's going to be a tough game. And then the reaction show on Sunday, 4:05. So, yeah. And maybe look out for the lineup show as well. So, yeah, there's a few things coming up. So, yeah, everyone, please join us. And just before I go, a quick reminder. Please like, subscribe, share, leave your comments below. And we'll be out next week again. So, I like that. I like what that. Talk about. That's good. That is, isn't it? That's proper professional. Yeah. I've had a lot of remarks about my background here. Thank you very much, guys. It's, you know what, Paxton Road is moving upwards and upwards. So it's all happening. It's all there. It's part of Paxton Road. So big up to everyone. Hopefully we'll all have that sooner or later for each show. I'm not going to have our Sid on my one, though, am I? Come on now. I want to have something else. You can have talking points. You can have Sam for life. We've got Coach Jordy. We've got Husper Hustler, the baseball hustler. The baseball cap hustler. That's the one. That's the one. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining us, guys. And we shall see you tomorrow, Sunday, and all next week as well. So, on that note, love you and leave you, and have a good weekend.